Hi everybody, Mrs. Ibinger here. I'm getting ready to read chapter 19 of Monster Street, The Boy Who Cried Werewolf. I hope you're all enjoying this beautiful Sunday. Hopefully you get outside. Chapter 19, No Turning Back. A creature was in the closet. A furry, black-eyed, long-tailed creature. Not just any creature, but a mouse? The tiny rodent scurried out of the unlit closet and ran right over Max's shoe, causing him to jump in fright. It moved so fast that Max didn't see where it went. He couldn't help but feel silly for being so afraid of a mouse scratching on the closet door. But then he noticed something unexplainable. The closet was full of suitcases. They were all zipped up and stacked against one another like books on a bookshelf. A layer of dust blanketed the tops of them as if they hadn't been used in months or even years. Who goes on vacation without their suitcases? Max thought, wondering why Mr. Howler and Jade would lie to Gramps or why Gramps would lie to Max. He glanced over at the lamp on the ground and then to the table of food. He began to put the puzzle pieces together just as he saw the full moon beginning to rise outside the window. That's when he saw muddy paw prints leading out the back door. The hermit, Max thought. He probably took the howlers back to his shack, and he's going to eat them beneath the full moon tonight. If they're still alive, there probably isn't much time. Max ran into the kitchen, took a knife from the butcher block, and hurried out of the house. He thought about going to get Gramps, but he knew the old man would just lock him up again. And he couldn't risk Gramps ruining his plan. So Max dashed across the field, under the barbed wire fence, and into the woods for the last time. Twilight dissolved, and darkness fell upon the earth like a plague. Max could feel the eyes of wild creatures watching him from every pocket of the woods. It made him feel vulnerable, like a sheep being led to slaughter. When he arrived at the hermit's shack, he waited to see if there were any sign of movement inside. But there was no light, no shadows, and the entire shanty seemed to be in slumber. Conjuring up his courage, Max approached the rotting structure. 1 step, 2 steps, 3. An owl hooted nearby in warning. Max stepped onto the porch, and the old wood groaned beneath his feet. There's no turning back now, he told himself. Max reached for the door and opened it, and the smell of death rushed over him. The inside of the shack was dark, and Max couldn't see anything. He felt along the walls with his hands until he stumbled upon a wooden dresser with a railroad lantern sitting atop it. He patted the top of the dresser, then frantically searched through the drawers, hoping to find a box of matches. The top drawer, the middle drawer, the bottom drawer. Finally, he found what he was looking for and quickly lit the wick. As soon as the light bloomed, Max saw an old rifle hanging on the wall above the dresser, covered in cobwebs. Beneath it, on the top of the dresser, was a peculiar leather-bound book. The tome was large and dusty and full of yellow pages. It looked homemade, like a scrapbook of some kind. He felt the cover. It was wrapped in skin? Max whispered in horror. Chills ran up his spine and robbed him of breath. He couldn't move. His entire body was paralyzed. But then he looked closer. The book had splotches of fur all over it. That's when he realized that it wasn't covered with human skin, wolf skin. Max carefully opened the cover, fearing it might crumble in his hands. Inside was a collection of newspaper clippings and photographs. They were all glued to the curling, tawny pages. In each picture was the same bearded man wearing a wide-brimmed hat. The hermit, Max whispered, remembering seeing him wearing that same hat 2 nights before when he had transformed into the beast. And yet in every single photo, The hermit was standing over the corpses of wolves. If the hermit is a werewolf, then why would he want to kill the wolves of the eastern forest? Max wondered. For the life of him, Max couldn't figure out the riddle. Then he saw an article that perplexed him even more. The headline was dated 12 years before, and it read, "The wolves are dead, killed by local hunters." In the picture, a group of men was standing over the corpses of several wolves. The hermit was in front of them all, with his foot resting atop the dead body of a giant wolf. A wolf man. The beast. Max blinked in astonishment. But Gramps said that my father was the one who killed the beast, he thought, running his fingers over the pictures of the hermit. This man isn't my father. As he turned around to explore more of the shack, the lantern light licked across the room, illuminating the most nightmarish thing that Max had ever seen. He was being watched, not by one or even by two, but a dozen beasts.